Hello, my name is Dr. Samuel Myers. I turned 80 last fall, and I'd like to tell you something that might surprise you, especially if, like me, you've always tried to eat healthy. You see, I spent over 5 decades working as a cardiologist. I taught nutrition to young doctors, gave lectures around the country, and followed every guideline you can imagine. Low-fat this, cholesterol-free that. I believed in a system. But something started to bother me after I retired. I noticed that many of my former patients, even the ones who followed healthy diets, were still developing issues after 60. High blood pressure, stiff joints, brain fog, even heart attacks in people who did everything right. And then I noticed it in myself. At 68, I began to feel heavy and tired after meals. My blood pressure crept up, even though I was walking every day and eating clean. My hands were getting colder. My memory, once sharp as a tack, began to slip, not drastically, but enough for me to notice. I asked myself a hard question. What if some of the foods we've trusted for decades are quietly harming us after a certain age? So, I went back to my roots. I began studying the old cases, new research, and, most importantly, listening to how my own body reacted. What I discovered shocked me. There were 3 foods I thought were good for me, and even recommended to patients, that I now believe should be limited or avoided altogether after 60, especially if you want to protect your arteries, your brain, and your energy. In this video, I'm going to walk you through each one, what it is, why it's a hidden danger, and what to replace it with. I'll also share what I eat now, how I reversed some of my early symptoms, and what I tell my children and grandchildren to avoid, even if it's marketed as heart healthy. Let's begin with the first one. 1. Flavored low-fat yogurt, the silent sugar trap. For most of my life, I thought yogurt was one of the healthiest snacks around, and in its pure form, it is. Real, plain yogurt with live cultures is wonderful for the gut. But that's not what most people are eating. Open the fridge of any health-conscious person over 60, and you're likely to find a dozen little tubs of low-fat, fruit-flavored yogurt, sweetened with natural syrups or cane sugar, sometimes labeled with words like digestive or light. Let me tell you, most of them are closer to dessert than medicine. One small serving can contain 15 to 20 grams of sugar. That's 5 teaspoons in one sitting. And as we age, our body becomes less tolerant of blood sugar spikes. The insulin response is slower, the arteries more fragile, and the brain more sensitive. High sugar intake, even from yogurt, increases inflammation, promotes belly fat, and contributes to something called glycation, a process where sugar binds to proteins and makes our tissues stiff and brittle. That includes blood vessels and even the brain. When I cut out flavored yogurts and switched to plain Greek yogurt with a few berries or nuts, my energy improved noticeably within 2 weeks. The brain fog began to lift. My afternoon crashes? Gone. So if you want the benefits of yogurt, go natural. Avoid the light and fit versions filled with artificial junk or hidden sugars. 2. Whole wheat bread, the not-so-healthy staple. This one might surprise you even more. For decades, I believed, and told others, that whole wheat bread was a healthier choice. Switch to brown bread, we said. It's full of fiber, better for your heart. And that's partly true if you're young, active, and metabolically flexible. But after 60, things begin to change. Our metabolism slows. The enzymes that help us break down complex carbohydrates become less efficient. And even so-called healthy whole wheat bread can cause rapid spikes in blood sugar. Don't believe me? Do this little test. Eat 2 slices of whole wheat toast in the morning, nothing else, and check how you feel in an hour. Tired? Hungry again? Maybe even a bit lightheaded? That's your glucose crashing after a spike. It happens because even whole wheat bread, especially commercial varieties, is made from ultra-fine flour that digests quickly and acts almost like sugar in the body. When I wore a continuous glucose monitor in my early 70s, I saw it clearly. Whole wheat bread gave me a blood sugar spike nearly as high as a candy bar. And here's the more dangerous part. Repeated glucose spikes contribute to arterial damage, promote chronic inflammation, and feed belly fat, the kind that wraps around your internal organs and increases your risk of heart disease and dementia. After cutting out bread, yes, even whole wheat, I replaced it with something simpler. Cooked oats with cinnamon and nuts, buckwheat or millet porridge, avocado and egg on a slice of seed cracker, or even just a handful of walnuts with tea. Within a few weeks, I felt steadier. My digestion improved. The heavy feeling in my body lightened. And most importantly, my blood pressure readings started to settle. Let me be clear, this isn't about fear. It's about listening. Our bodies after 60 don't process food the way they used to at 30. And clinging to outdated, healthy food ideas can quietly age us faster than we realize. The next product I'll tell you about is one I truly believed in for years, until I discovered how it may quietly stiffen our arteries and drain our minerals. Stay with me. It's one of the most common health drinks in the Western world. 3. Store-bought orange juice, a sugary trap in disguise. Now let me tell you a little story. When I was younger, orange juice was a symbol of health. Every hospital breakfast tray came with a glass. Every wellness brochure had a smiling person holding one. And I believed it too. After all, vitamin C, right? But sometime, in my late 60s, I started waking up feeling sluggish, even though I hadn't changed anything in my diet. I decided to track everything I ate and drank. And guess what stood out? That small morning glass of 100% pure orange juice. Here's the truth no one told me. Even if it says no added sugar, a single glass of orange juice contains as much natural sugar as a can of soda, about 22 to 26 grams per cup. And because it's liquid, it hits your bloodstream fast, causing a rapid glucose spike, followed by a crash. And that's not all. When you eat an orange, the fiber in the pulp slows down sugar absorption. But juice? The fiber's gone. It's just liquid sugar, even if it came from an orange. Over time, that daily glass contributes to increased belly fat, insulin resistance, fatty liver, calcium loss from bones, and yes, arterial stiffness, a key risk factor for stroke and heart disease. One study I read from the Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that older adults who drank fruit juice daily had significantly higher rates of metabolic syndrome than those who didn't. So what did I do? I stopped drinking juice completely and went back to the real thing, a peeled orange with breakfast. Or better yet, grapefruit slices with cinnamon, and plenty of water with lemon throughout the day. The result? My blood sugar levels stabilized, the midday fatigue disappeared, and, most interestingly, I started sleeping better. I suspect it had to do with less evening sugar crashing through my system. If you're still starting your day with juice, especially if you're over 60, I suggest you reconsider. In the next part, I'll tell you about a snack I used to love, one I thought was light and healthy, but that quietly added inches to my waistline and left me hungrier than before. 4. Low-fat yogurt, the healthy snack that isn't there. Was a time in my life, especially after 65, when I became more conscious of fat. The media was shouting about low-fat everything, low-fat milk, low-fat cheese, low-fat yogurt. I thought I was doing the right thing. My afternoon snack? A little plastic cup of strawberry or peach yogurt, marked low-fat, light, or fit. Just 90 or 100 calories. Seemed perfect. But something didn't feel right. After eating it, I was always hungrier 30 minutes later. I'd find myself reaching for crackers or something sweet just to feel satisfied. And worst of all, my blood pressure started creeping up again. Not dramatically, but enough to concern me. So, I did what I always do when I sense a problem. I investigated. Here's what I found. Most store-bought low-fat yogurts are packed with added sugar, often 15 to 20 grams per tiny cup, filled with artificial thickeners and flavor enhancers, stripped of natural fats that actually help absorb vitamins, keep you full, and slow sugar absorption. In other words, I wasn't eating something healthy. I was eating dessert pretending to be healthy. And at my age, sugar spikes don't just make you tired. They damage your arteries, promote inflammation, and confuse your hormones. So, what did I switch to? Full-fat plain Greek yogurt, unsweetened. I add a few berries, a sprinkle of cinnamon, and crushed walnuts. Sometimes a teaspoon of flaxseed for fiber and heart support. Now, when I eat this, I feel satisfied. No cravings, no crash, and my digestion, much smoother. Let me tell you, fat isn't your enemy, especially natural fat from quality dairy. It's sugar and additives pretending to be healthy that you need to watch out for. In the next part, I'll reveal the fifth and final product I removed, and why I believe it's one of the most overlooked causes of brain fog, poor circulation, and silent inflammation after 60. 5. Vegetable oils, the silent saboteur in your kitchen. For years, I cooked with canola oil, sunflower oil, even corn oil. They were marketed as heart-healthy, light, cholesterol-free. That sounded perfect for someone in his 60s trying to take care of his heart, right? But here's what most people, including many doctors, didn't realize back then. These oils, especially when refined and processed, are high in omega-6 fatty acids. And while omega-6s are not inherently bad, the problem is balance. In the typical Western diet, omega-6s outnumber omega-3s by as much as 20 to 1. And when that happens, the body goes into a chronic inflammatory state. What does that mean for someone over 60? More joint pain, slower recovery from illness, higher risk of heart disease and stroke, and, this is key, a foggier brain. I began noticing I was waking up with a stiff neck. My hands felt swollen. My thinking wasn't as sharp. At first I thought it was just age, but then I started reading the research and realized it might be my cooking oil. So I made a shift. Here's what I now use and recommend to every patient who walks into my clinic. Extra virgin olive oil for salads and gentle cooking. Avocado oil for higher heat cooking. Ghee or grass-fed butter in small amounts for flavor. And occasionally cold-pressed flax oil, added raw to soups or yogurt. After just a few weeks of switching, I noticed less stiffness in the morning, clearer, more focused thoughts, better skin tone and warmth in my extremities. And the best part? My blood tests showed improved markers for inflammation, something most pills couldn't do. Remember, it's not just what you eat, it's what you cook it in that matters. Now that I've shared these 5 foods I gave up after 60, I want to leave you with something even more important. A simple plan to start gently reversing some of the damage and restoring your body, starting today. In the next part, I'll give you my 3-step daily ritual for clearer arteries, more energy, and a sharper mind, drawn from both science and the wisdom of age. Steezed. Step 1. Morning circulation wake-up. 10 minutes. The first thing I do every morning, even before checking my phone or sipping coffee, is wake up my blood vessels. How? A simple routine I call the Joint Awakening Walk. I walk slowly around the house or in the garden for 5 to 10 minutes. With each step, I rotate my shoulders, open and close my fists, and stretch my ankles. I finish with 10 slow breaths. In through the nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4, out through the mouth for 6. This wakes up capillaries, gets lymph moving, and tells the brain, we're alive, let's go. Don't underestimate it. It's like oiling a rusty engine every day. After a week, most people tell me their morning stiffness eases, their face looks brighter, and they feel mentally ready for the day. Step 2. Vascular nourishment. Breakfast. After waking up my system, I fuel it with what I call artery-kind breakfast choices. No processed cereals, no sugary spreads. Here's my usual. Oats soaked overnight in warm water or almond milk, a spoon of ground flax seeds, a handful of walnuts or almonds, a pinch of cinnamon, half a banana or a few berries. Sometimes I'll add a boiled egg or a slice of avocado toast, cooked in olive oil, of course. This combo stabilizes blood sugar, nourishes the brain, reduces artery inflammation, and keeps me full for hours. No crash, no cravings. I often tell patients, if your breakfast is sugary, your blood turns sticky. If it's nourishing, your vessels smile all day. And so, let me share a few of those humble practices that I believe helped me reach this age with a clear mind, steady hands, and a heart that still feels joy each morning. 1. The one-leg stand, a quiet test of inner strength. Every morning after brushing my teeth, I stand on one leg for 30 seconds. Then I switch to the other. Sounds silly? Perhaps. But this little habit tells me more about my health than any expensive scan. Balancing on one leg activates deep muscles, improves blood flow to the brain, and strengthens the nerves. When someone can't hold balance for even 10 seconds, it may be a sign that their brain or circulation needs help. Try it. Do it near a wall or a chair at first. Close your eyes if you want a challenge. You might be surprised how much focus it takes and how much better you get after a week. 2. The 3 deep breaths before eating rule. We used to rush through meals. My younger self would eat standing up, talking, planning my day. Not anymore. Now, before every meal, yes, even a simple breakfast, I sit down, close my eyes, and take 3 slow, deep breaths. Why? Because digestion starts in the mind. When you're stressed or distracted, your stomach gets tense, your blood doesn't flow to the gut, and you absorb less from your food. 3 deep breaths signal your body it's time to rest, to receive, to nourish. And I tell my patients this too. Even if you eat the healthiest food in the world, but in a state of stress or hurry, you rob your body of its benefit. Next, I'll share the food rule that made the biggest difference for me after turning 70. It's not about cutting things out, but about adding in one overlooked ingredient, not a supplement, not a trend, just an ancient source of strength that our ancestors knew well.
3. The forgotten grain that changed everything. Barley.
After I turned 70, I began having trouble with blood sugar swings and occasional fatigue, especially after lunch. A fellow doctor from Greece, an old friend, asked me just one question. When was the last time you ate barley? It made me laugh. Barley, isn't that for horses? But I gave it a try. I replaced my usual white rice and bread with barley porridge a few times a week. The change was remarkable. Barley is rich in soluble fiber, especially beta-glucans, that slow down the absorption of sugar into the blood. It also supports good gut bacteria, reduces inflammation, and gently lowers cholesterol. And unlike trendy superfoods, it's humble, affordable, and time-tested. I now start many mornings with a small bowl of warm barley mixed with a few walnuts, a pinch of cinnamon, and hot water. It's become my comfort ritual and a quiet guard for my heart and brain. 4. The 10-minute rule after every meal. Here's something I wish I had learned decades earlier. After every meal, I take a slow 10-minute walk. No phone, no agenda, just steps. This simple practice does 3 things. It stabilizes blood sugar. It improves circulation, especially to the legs. And most importantly, it calms the nervous system. You don't need to go far. Even walking around your living room or down the hall can work. But do it mindfully. Feel the food settling in your belly. Breathe slowly. Let your body begin the work of digestion with ease. When people ask me, what's the best exercise after 80? This is it. 10 mindful minutes after every meal. 5. A final word from an 80-year-old heart. As I sit and reflect on the past 8 decades, the thousands of patients I've met, the lectures I gave, and the mistakes I made along the way, I've come to one powerful truth. Health after 60 is less about perfection and more about attention. Paying attention to how food makes you feel, to how your body responds, not to numbers on a label, but to the quiet signals: energy, sleep, digestion, clarity. Most of all, it's about respecting that your body, now more than ever, is wise. It's talking to you. You just have to listen. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this confession, it's that age isn't a slow decline. It's a change of rhythm. You no longer need to follow every fad or fear every indulgence, but you do need to be more selective, more conscious, more curious. Cut the noise. Tune in. And remember, it's not too late. I've seen patients in their 70s, 80s, even 90s reverse years of decline with just a few mindful changes. Not overnight, but over weeks, months, seasons. So if you're feeling tired, foggy, stiff, or just off, start with one thing. Maybe cut the sugary yogurt. Maybe swap your oil. Maybe take that slow 10-minute walk tonight after dinner. These are not small things. They are signals, rituals, quiet revolutions. From one old heart to another, stay curious, stay moving, and above all, stay kind to your body. It's gotten you this far, and it still wants to go further. Warmly, Dr. Samuel Myers.